Hey everyone, Iris here. I've wanted to film a video on the topic that I'm going to talk about today for quite some time, as it is a little bit of a sensitive topic, and that is age bias in the workplace. I also wanted to talk about employment gaps and re-entering the workforce and wanted to include it in this video, but I think that topic warrants a whole separate video in and of itself, and I'll probably film that next. So today, let's get into it. Let's talk about perceived ageism in today's job market. Like I said, today's topic can be a little bit sensitive, but who I'm specifically speaking to is Gen Xers and baby boomers as they job hunt in today's job market. Now, in my opinion, age bias or ageism in the workplace is really defined as being passed up for an opportunity solely due to your age. And this topic came about because I've worked with a few coaching clients just recently who feel like they've been passed up for opportunities because they're too experienced or too seasoned for the role. Now, as we dig in a little bit deeper, we realize that it's not really that's the case. There's other factors that are involved, and I want to talk about those because I think that it's very easy to get passed up for a job and blame it on the fact that you're older. But I think there's a lot of other things that come with your age that you may not be considering. And that's just the truth and the harsh reality. So please don't take offense to any of this. But it really has to do with how you tell your story holistically about your job experience, regardless of your age. So let's start with some stats to back us up. Nearly 2 out of 3 workers ages 45 and older have experienced some type of age discrimination. This is according to results from an AARP workplace survey released just last year. Among the 61% of respondents who reported age bias, 91% of them believe that it's very common. Much like millennials, older generations also want to be in roles where they are growing and learning and really feel satisfied about what they're doing and contributing. So let's talk about some specific ways you can overcome age bias in today's job market. Just recently, I worked with a client who had over 30 years of experience. And what we really needed to do first was really trim down their resume. We don't need to see the past 30 to 40 years of your work experience when really the past 10 to 15 are going to be the most relevant. So the first thing I would say is, yes, you do have a lot of experience, and yes, it is very valuable, but we don't need to see it all in a 4-page resume. It's okay to cut out all your previous experience and just talk about the most recent experience that you've had. Recruiters simply don't want to see all of it. And what's more, having a 3 to 4-page resume is going to immediately give the impression that you are far too experienced for the role and that maybe your resume isn't as current as you think it is. A previous coworker reached out to me actually just this morning, letting me know that shortening her resume made a huge impact in her actually being called in for interviews. It showed people that she, yes, does have the most recent relevant experience on there, and she took out a lot of experience that she had before having children and having a large employment gap on her resume, which really isn't relevant anymore because she's entered the workforce since then. So when it comes to being a more senior candidate, being an older candidate, I think it's so important to really trim down your resume, keep it short, and make it succinct. You need to make it tailored to the specific role that you are applying for. And that is because with your 30 to 40 years of experience, you've probably been in quite a few roles. And what happens is a recruiter will look at it and get kind of confused by all your experience and not really know where to start or what to look at. So not only shortening your resume, but making it a lot clearer with bullet points that are relevant to the job that you're applying for is going to help you tremendously. Now, along this vein, I really think it's important for you to have a LinkedIn profile. And I tell my clients and candidates this all the time because what it's going to show us is that, one, you're kind of tech savvy, you're in the job market, you're networking, you have a network built up on LinkedIn, and it also gives you an opportunity to showcase a picture of yourself. That's a great way to kind of represent yourself in the job market with, a recent fresh looking photo and really explaining your work experience on LinkedIn. Because like I said, it's just going to show that you're tech savvy and that you understand how networking works in today's job market. This doesn't just apply to older generations, but it also applies to millennials as well. I have come across quite a few millennials that don't have LinkedIn profiles, and it's kind of concerning. That is a bandwagon that unfortunately you just need to jump on. Now, The next reason that I have maybe passed up more experienced candidates, and this one is maybe not one that you want to hear, but a lot of older generation or older, more seasoned candidates, we'll say 55 and older to generalize, tend to come across as entitled in job interviews. And I've seen this time and time again, and this isn't just like a one-off thing where, someone came in and they were super entitled and I was like, oof, this is really off-putting. But what happens sometimes when you are an older candidate and come with a lot of experience is that you're not really using the experience to your advantage. You're instead making it seem like you're a know-it-all and not really willing to learn. And so what happens is you'll come in and say, this job, I've done it before. It's a piece of cake. I could do it in my sleep. And at the end of the day, this is a job interview. You're meeting this person for the first time. They don't really care about the fact that you think this is a piece of cake. What they want to hear about is your accomplishments in the past, how you've done this in the past, and are you open to learning new ways of doing it? So I'd say the biggest hurdle that you need to overcome in age bias is really looking within yourself and thinking about, are you coming off as someone who sounds a little bit entitled and like a know-it-all? Not only is this very off-putting to future employers, but it kind of shows us that you're not very flexible to change. If you think that you can come into this role and it's a piece of cake and you can do it in your sleep, that doesn't really tell me that you'd be open to other ways of thinking about how to solve problems or be flexible to change. Really look within yourself, be self-aware, and think about, have I come across as a little bit too entitled? Have I come across as a know-it-all? And what you'll want to do is really think about how you can correct that and instead talk about your accomplishments and different ways that you've approached things in the past and how it's worked for you, and that there's many different ways to do things and you'd be open to learning more. Because truly, at the end of the day, you do actually still have a lot to learn. When it comes to age bias, that's one of the reasons employers will shy away from older candidates, is because they perceive them being not flexible to change. Now, another suggestion that I have, if you are a more seasoned candidate, a Gen X or baby boomer entering the workforce or looking for a new job in today's job market, is to be a little bit flexible. So I think that the older generations, and I know I'm generalizing, so please bear with me, will tend to think of jobs in a very concrete way, and that is, it needs to be a full-time job with benefits, and it needs to be this, and this way. And what I think you really need to do in today's job market is to be a little bit more flexible. Can you join a team as a consultant, as a contractor, as a temp, to really let the employer try you out? Because the harsh reality is that a lot of employers are thinking, why are you looking for a job at this age when you're just going to retire soon? Or can you really keep up with our fast-paced environment? Because I don't really think you can. Now, I'm not saying everyone has these biases. I am generalizing, but being open to different ways of working with a company is going to put you at an advantage at your age. Whether that's coming in, like I said, as a temp, a consultant, having them try you out for a bit, showing them that you have the energy, you can work in a fast-paced environment, you are super tech savvy, you can be part of the team and give suggestions just like the team and not come in and try and bulldoze processes and tell everyone that your way is the right way. Try to be open and flexible to different working arrangements and how they can work for you. Because I think at the end of the day, that could really help a company try you out and eventually end up hiring you full-time. But on your end, it also gives you experience and lets you also try out other companies until you find a place that you feel comfortable landing. Now I want to talk about the nonverbal message that's coming across when you interview. Like I said, this is a tough topic to tackle, and the reality is that for millennials, Gen Xers, baby boomers alike, the way you look in an interview, the way you dress and present yourself with confidence is going to have a huge impact on how you talk about your experience and how you're perceived by the employer. Now, I think it's very important to keep up with current fashion, understand your audience and where you're interviewing. You would, for example, not wear a stuffy old suit to a tech startup for an interview. Really, when you're interviewing with someone, they want to see what it's going to be like to work with you on a day-to-day basis. What are you going to wear? What are you going to be interested in? And if you're not keeping up with the current fashion and current times and just general hygiene, I think it's hard for people to see you as part of the team. So I know that your skill set and experience should speak for itself, and that would be the case in an ideal world, but the reality is there's a lot of bias that comes with in-person interviews. But there's a way that you can come across in an in-person interview that you are still fresh and keeping up with the current times and will fit into the culture of the company that you're applying for. Now, I'm not saying you should go out, dye your hair, get a whole new wardrobe. All I'm saying is put yourself together well, try to stay with a current trend, try to dress work appropriately, try to wear something that you feel confident in, that you know will work well with the company that you're interviewing at, if that makes any sense. Now, these are just a few suggestions, and I'm hoping that they will help you if you feel like you're being passed up for roles due to your age. Like I said, a lot of times age isn't actually the true factor as to why you are being passed up for opportunities. A lot of other things come with the age, and that, like I said, is the sense of entitlement based on your experience, or not really being flexible, not being tech savvy. And so those are some things that you can correct to really show that regardless of your age, you can fit in this company's culture and you're happy to be a member who contributes to the team. Like I said, I'm very passionate about this topic, and I've helped many Gen Xers and baby boomers enter the workforce or find a new job. So if you are feeling like you're struggling with this, please feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to help you. Make sure to subscribe to my channel below so that you can look out for the next video I'm going to do about how to cover and talk about employment gaps and re-entering the workforce. So please be sure to hit the like button so I know you enjoyed this video and can create more videos like this in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in a bit.